Let's podcast alongside Lauren Brownlow, who is filling in for Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies, live to tape at the Eford Studios, downtown Raleigh, Empire Properties. What up, Brownlow?
What's going on?
I survived the Matchbox 20 show yesterday.
Yeah, how was it?
Surprisingly, I'll be honest, I had two takeaways. I am shocked how many Matchbox 20 songs I actually know.
Of course. No, they did have a lot.
They have like a sneaky deep catalog, which I did not realize.
Yeah.
All right. And then number two, I was shocked at the amount of the Utes that were there for a Matchbox 20 show. I know the 90s are hot, like we talked about yesterday, but
right.
I didn't realize they were into Matchbox 20.
Yeah, that's bizarre to me. I wouldn't have thought that either. I would have thought that would have just been a nostalgia fest for us olds.
So I follow this guy on YouTube because I'm a YouTuber now, Brownlow. There's this guy named Anthony Fantano, and he goes by the Needle Drop. And what I appreciate about him is that he's a music critic that actually does music criticism, doesn't just like, tell you, oh, this is great, everything, because most music criticism now, because they don't want to upset the fans,
right,
tells you every album is great. Like, no, you can say that some of these things don't hit. Anyway, Fantano's really, really good. But in following, he's younger than you and I. So what's interesting about him as a guy in his 30s, it's like what they view as 90s popular. And there's been this interesting retconning or reevaluation of Third Eye Blind's debut album as a 90s classic. And I would never...
I would have said that. Third Eye Blind? Seriously?
As a 90s classic?
I mean, think about how many... Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying that's wrong. I just never thought of it that way.
Like, am I putting it in the pantheon of like, I don't know, like Green Day, No Doubt, like all kinds of others? No, but like, would I say it's like a classic? Yeah, I would say that.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyway, if you're wondering why the heck are they talking about Matchbox 20 and Third Eye Blind and some 90s stuff, it's like, well, it's July 13th, meaning that we've actually hit we've crossed the Rubicon of the sports summer.
For sure.
In that we had the All-Star break. Traditionally, there is no professional sports on the day after the All-Star game, which is why ESPN invented the ESPYs. And the ESPYs were last night.
Oh, were they? I remember seeing it. I was watching Bachelorette because it's right now, it's reality TV season for me.
Fair enough, which we'll get to in a second.
But like, I was watching it, they had the promo. I'm like, oh, they really are still doing that.
Oh yeah, no, the ESPYs are still a big thing. The only really newsworthy item that came out of the ESPYs was that LeBron James put to rest any sort of speculation that he was going to retire, which is surprising to me because I thought we had collectively decided once the NBA playoffs were over, once LeBron James said what he had said, that he was just kind of like a cooling off period, that he was going to come back. If he was going to retire, there would have been a heck of a lot more
I agree.
Like hints and
didn't really, I feel like you didn't really get that at all.
Look,
so
LeBron James is really good at crafting a news cycle. So I never really got the sense he was truly thinking about retiring.
What is he wearing?
I don't care how many more points I score or what I can or cannot do on the floor. The real question for me is, can I play without cheating this game? The day I can't give the game everything on the floor is the day I'll be done. Lucky for you guys, that day is not today.
So he was up there receiving an award because he surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And yes, to your point, what exactly was he wearing? I think it gets back to our theme of the week.
The choker, 90s. A pearl choker.
90s so hot right now.
Right. I have seen this trend of like men wearing pearl necklaces that I would have never, like, that are looked like to be designed for women.
I mean,
which is fine. I mean, I don't care. It's just like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
To me, looking at that outfit on LeBron James is very much it's like New Jack Swing era fashion.
Right.
Tony, a little.
I feel like he might have borrowed the necklace from one of his kids.
Maybe.
But maybe it's not supposed to be like a choker. Maybe it's supposed to be like.
I don't know. I just, when I saw LeBron James' outfit that was trending last night on social media, I immediately thought to myself, that is something that would appear as a background character in New Jack City.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, and LeBron, I think, is like
an extra in a Bobby Brown video.
LeBron is ultimate dad life right now and at this stage of his life. So but I feel like his kids are at that age that he's really like leaning into like staying young right now. Maybe
that's relatable.
Yeah.
I'm very much on that when it comes to And I'll get Caleb will absolutely roast me for trying to. It's like, how do you know this? Or why even do you know this?
Why even? Oh my God.
Yeah, he hit me with the why even. And I just said, because it's kind of my job to be extremely online to kind of know what's going on.
Right. And he's like, God, you're so embarrassing, Dad.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I am embarrassing. It is what it is.
You are kind of embarrassing.
It's fine. I own it. I completely own it.
Yeah.
So what's the point of having kids if you can't embarrass them? Or being the embarrassing parent?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, right now, Alex just embarrasses me. It's not that like he'll be like, "Do you know who my mom is? She's Lauren Brownlow." Like he's doing that with his friends, and I'm like, no. Yeah. I'm like, A, they have no idea, and B, don't do this.
Alex, finesse king. Can't wait till he's president.
Please don't.
Can't wait till he's president. Just invite me to the inauguration party. That's all I ask.
Stop it.
So anyway,
don't put that pressure on me.
So the ESPYs are kind of like that line. You know, July 4th happens, and suddenly your Target, Walmart, whatever, is suddenly decked out for Halloween. All right?
Yeah.
And then the other line of demarcation is training camps are opening up next week.
That's what I was gonna say. Now we're into like NFL ramp up to the season mode for sure.
We're absolutely in ramp up to the season mode. And I guess the story of the day, and you bring up reality television, is that we finally have our participant for Hard Knocks.
I was going to ask, because I was like, this is like Hard Knocks season. We're getting close to it.
The Jets.
I love that.
With Aaron Rodgers.
I love that.
I have not watched Hard Knocks in years.
It's really a great show.
It is, but we've made this argument a couple shows ago where the hand-wringing over who participates in Hard Knocks, or the idea that Hard Knocks is some sort of distraction, is amusing, considering that every single NFL team, not just NFL team, but every professional sports team does this now.
Right.
They all have their behind-the-scenes videos. I commended the Panthers for their Blueprint series. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
And I almost thought to myself, well, what is the point of Hard Knocks when the teams are already doing Hard Knocks better than Hard Knocks, so to speak?
I don't know. I would say better. That's a lot. I mean, HBO people in sports, like they do it right. Like they do it really good. I mean, they don't all have, isn't it Ray Liotta like narrating? Like, I mean, come on.
I forgot who the narrator is, but there's specifics into how you can be a Hard Knocks team. Like you can't have a first year coach.
Not Ray Liotta, it's Liev Schreiber, right?
Yes. I think
Liev Schreiber.
Yes. Is Ray Liotta still with us?
Probably.
Damn it, Lauren. No.
Why I mixed him up with Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, I want to say Ray is still with us.
Good for him.
He is 67.
That's it?
Years old, yes.
I actually thought he'd be older.
Wait, I'm sorry. No. He passed away.
Oh, did he?
He did pass away.
Oh, no.
Sorry, he died.
I was going to say, I was 26th. Like, he's not only 67,
no,
so
May
that
26,
must have been.
May 26, 2022. So yeah, Ray Liotta no longer with us.
I missed
Sorry.
That.
Apologies.
That's unfortunate.
I had to quick Google search that one. No, so the reason why I'm not all that enamored with the idea of Hard Knocks is because we see, and like Netflix, I just got the email yesterday that Netflix is doing their own series called The Quarterback, and it follows, you know, they're doing the F1 Drive to Survive golf thing where they're following QBs and making the interesting storylines to get you invested in the team and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, it did work for people with F1. I haven't seen the F1 series, but people have said it's excellent. And then and now like half my timeline is watching F1 on a given day. I
do have some, and I know there's some backup to the fact that there have been rating increases for F1, but I do wonder what the real
I'm sure it's
what
not
the real
tangible,
interest in F1 is. So I preface this by saying I haven't watched Hard Knocks in a long time. But now I feel like I'm not going to be able to avoid Hard Knocks because of Aaron Rodgers.
No, it'll be constantly in the news cycle for that reason. And like I could see it being, because the reason I watch Hard Knocks has nothing to do necessarily with which team's on it or anything like that, or their star players. The thing I find great about Hard Knocks is like those players right on the cut line and their story, and like, do they make it? Because they get you invested in those people, you know? And that to me is like one of my favorite parts of not only like journalism in general, but also, you know, like football stories, Hard Knock stories. It's get me interested on a human level in these people, you know? Yeah,
but I don't know if I really want to know Aaron Rodgers on a human level because he's a tryhard. You think I'm embarrassing?
No, he's embarrassing. Yeah.
Like his personality is that he tries to tofu any other thing that's out there to make him seem like he's interesting. We all knew people like this back in college. We know 100%. People like this today, where they kind of put on this whatever flavor of the moment to try to seem interesting. And that's where Aaron Rodgers is
like
right
half
now.
The free to bet people when I was in college.
Oh, geez. That's a deep cut. Yes.
But I mean, that's where they fit in.
That's kind of where it is. So everything about Aaron Rodgers seems like a guy that you knew in college that went away for the summer and came back a changed man. He went to Australia for a couple of weeks on an exchange program, and suddenly he's developed an accent.
No, he went to a third world country and did some volunteer work.
And he won't shut up about it?
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of like him and ayahuasca. So I really do think that this idea that, this is going to be a really distracting thing. I'm sorry, you've lost the argument to whether
you
or
already
not
have Aaron Rodgers.
You have Aaron Rodgers. He is a walking distraction.
Right. That's distracting enough as it is. I wonder how much he'll be. I guess he'll be involved because he wants to be.
Yeah, that's true.
On television.
That's true.
Housekeeping.
As I mentioned at the jump, by all means, hit the likes, hit the thumbs up, leave comments on YouTube. We appreciate everybody who's subscribed so far. Trying to get to 4,000 subscribers here relatively soon. We're about 400 subscribers away. I have a bottle that was donated to me by Luke DeCock at the News and Observer of Beastie Boys song.
Right.
And it's been sitting in the fridge for a while. It's vintage. It's aged.
Cool.
I don't know how good it's going to hold up, but I'm going to try it.
Is it supposed to age?
I don't think you're supposed to age it.
Oh my! Why do you?
I'll have it over ice, though.
Why do you do this?
I'll have it over ice.
It honestly, I can't even watch the videos of you guys trying these. It gives me so much anxiety.
Well, that's kind of the point. But you'll at least know when I die what it was about. I tried something I shouldn't have tried. And then you can play the Fox injury music when they lower my casket. So by all means, go check out
piano. No, you're getting yakety sax if that's the way you die. I'm sorry.
Absolutely not.
Yes. If you died that way, you're not getting the sad injury music. Absolutely no.
All right,
no.
fine.
You'll get like the robot music. That's the best you get.
Fine. So please do all that stuff for YouTube. We appreciate everybody who's done it so far. Trying to get to 4,000 here relatively soon before the start of the football season. And also trying to get to 1,000 ratings on Apple Podcasts. I know we got Spotify, et cetera, but I like seeing a nice even 1,000 on Apple. We've kept it 5 stars. Y'all are rocking that. You understand 5 stars only, positive vibes only. So we appreciate that. Speaking of vibes, you got the backyard vibes? You want to make sure that the mosquitoes are not getting at you. That's why you need Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Mosquito Authority I've been using now for the last couple of summers. It gets the job done. I know what my yard was like before Mosquito Authority. I know what it's like after Mosquito Authority. And there's a reason why I keep going back to them. So go check them out. Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. And also shout out to NEW, Network for Entrepreneurs in Wilmington. Check them out online at newilm.com. Jim Roberts heads that up. It is about networking. It's about making sure that you have the tools that you need for your startup. And Wilmington is one of the hottest startups in not just North Carolina, but in the country. So again, go check them out. newilm.com.
Next topic, please.
All right, ACC kickoff is in 2 weeks, I think it is. And we got Michael Felder in the bleachers on Twitter. He is with Stadium, Field of 12 podcast. I can't keep track with all of Felder's stuff. Michael, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm busy, dude. Busy. I just got back from a 2-mile little walk, and it's hot outside, man. I know y'all got the same weather I got, and goodness gracious, your boy is sweating.
Yeah, I was waiting for Joe to let me in this morning. I was about to text him and be like, please, I'm melting.
Oh, come on. You're fine now. You're fine. Here's my question, Felder.
Yes.
Is the Drake May hype train for Heisman candidacy and what the expectations are for North Carolina taking away or burying the idea that Jordan Travis might actually be the best quarterback in the ACC going into the year?
Yeah, I think so. I think the other part of it is Jordan Travis is surrounded by a little bit more than Drake May. And that's the part that's going to be really interesting. And that's not to disparage anybody that's on that UNC roster. It's more just Florida State got some dudes. Like, they got a team. Like, they got you got, what is it, Versus down there, and you got guys that can just flat out ball. So I think the big key is the difference is Drake May. Here's what I'll say. I think that the Drake May, the hype train, is about him possibly being the number 2 pick overall in the NFL draft and maybe getting invited to New York more than it is about UNC. And with Jordan Travis, it feels like Florida State might get back to being Florida State again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And it's interesting though. I've had some people ask me like, how would you compare the Drake May hype train to Sam Howell? Remember when he was going to be a top pick? I personally see a difference between the two, but I'm curious if you do as well, like from an NFL perspective.
I think that Drake May has a lot more of the traits that you're looking for. He can throw the ball over the middle, not just to the exterior. He can hit all three levels, the shallow, the intermediate, and the deep. Obviously, he's going to have to get physically bigger. I think Drake May is more akin to a guy like Daniel Jones, if we're being quite honest, than to Sam Howell. And so I think that's the difference. But Sam Howell also, they had a lot of dudes on that football team.
Yeah, they did.
Like they got a lot of guys that are making bread in the NFL right now. I'm curious. What you tell me? What you were saying was the difference.
I mean, I when I look at Drake May, I just think he has more of what NFL teams seem to prefer. Right. I do agree he needs to add some bulk because he still makes me nervous when he runs just because I'm afraid he'll get seriously injured.
What happened at App State? Remember, he went airborne at App State.
That was terrifying.
Just like he needs to learn how to protect himself a lot better and put some bulk on. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I think he can make more of the throws. I think he has more natural talent than Sam. I do think Sam had a lot of like that competitive fire in his belly. Yes. And I think Drake has a lot of that too, but that was to me what set Sam apart, plus all the talent around him. And yeah, I don't know if it's going to be quite the same level if he can carry them the way he did last year.
Plus, here's the other thing about Drake May and Michael Felder joining us here on Ovies and Giglio. Brownlow's hanging out with us today while Giglio's on vacation. So my curiosity is the change in offensive coordinator. Right?
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
We kind of understood what Phil Longo was over two quarterbacks, much to some frustration that Carolina fans had with how they went about things. They bring in Chip Lindsey, and they're talking run. I'm sure Drake May is part of that run equation. So
hopefully not too big,
not too much though. So what is Chip Lindsey at offensive coordinator bringing to the table? It's going to be different from Phil Longo, Mike.
So I when I think about Chip Lindsey, I think about Auburn, and that's the biggest part I think about. So which means I think about Gus Malzahn and all that entire element there. And so, yes, the quarterback's going to be a part of it, but I'm trying to find the right.
Look, we've known Felder for a very, very long time. And I know Felder when he's like, I don't know. He's like, he wants to say something. Come on, let's go.
I've never liked the way that by Chip Lindsey, by extension of Gus Malzahn, I've never liked the way that they were with a true passing quarterback.
Okay.
Which is what I view Drake May as. I love the way that they operate with a guy that really has wheels. And there's a humongous difference between having wheels and being able to steal some yards when nobody's paying attention. And so I've never really loved that element to that of the way that they coach football. Like I love the idea that Nick Marshall could take your team to a national championship game. That's insane. But at the same time, when you get someone like a Bo Nix or any of these guys, when you get those guys, they don't seem to be nearly as effective. And I think it's because you don't have that massive crutch of that quarterback run element. And so I'm curious to see what it looks like, because this is in Chip Lindsey, I want him to succeed, obviously. But the key for me is I want to see him what this looks like with the quarterback. Listen, this is a guy, he's a legacy kid. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people forget about that. This is a legacy kid. Both parents played at UNC, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's in his blood. The school's in his blood. Being a star at that school is in his blood. Like this is him. He's supposed to be really him for sure. And the next step for him it's not even winning an ACC championship. It's not going to a bowl game. The next step for him is getting ready for the NFL draft to see if he can challenge Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. That's the next step for him. And I just wonder if Chip Lindsey's going to be able to get him there, because that's the next step for him from a personal standpoint, from a player standpoint, from a career standpoint. Okay. And I just want to see what that looks like. Chip Lindsey, I think overall, all the pieces, he's going to use those pieces tremendously.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to find ways to get guys open in space. He's going to find ways to create both in the intermediate and down the field. I think he's going to use the middle. They're going to run mesh. They're going to run they're going to run mesh. They're going to run all these classic concepts. They're going to run them and make it hit all those spots. But I want to see him take a next step in terms of being an NFL quarterback. And that's the question that I have.
Okay, got it. So offensive coordinator, quarterback pairings. Let's get this to NC State.
Yes.
Where Robert and I is coming in to help Dave Doran, I guess, reimagine the offense.
I was going to say do some offense.
Yeah,
is that too much?
Poke it with a stick. Let's do some offense.
So frustrating to watch them last year. Yes. I was just pulling my own hair out, and I don't even. Yeah.
You and I had that conversation a lot last year in the panic room, and I kept screaming. I'm like, this is how they want to operate. They want to suffocate you and try to get out with a 13-10 victory. And there were reasons for that. I think the wide receiver group didn't step up the way they thought it was going to step up. Nobody really emerged. There wasn't a lot of separation. And we also come to find out that, Devin Leary was a lot worse off than we thought before he transferred to Kentucky, and they had to go through 5 different quarterbacks. I actually think last season was a pretty good thing, all things considered. 5 different wins with 5 different QBs.
No,
right?
on the whole, for sure. Just in general, their offense was like, what are you doing?
So now they bring in Robert and Nye, and you bring in Brennan Armstrong. There was magic there at Virginia. Brennan Armstrong did not have that last year, and Anai is coming home to coach with him. So is this going to be a repeat of what we saw with Virginia the last time these two were paired, or is it going to be a little bit different? And how does MJ Morris fit into all of this?
That was the question I was going to ask you.
Where
does MJ Morris fit?
I honestly do not know. That's going to be a story that develops once kickoff gets going, because I understand the Armstrong and Nye package deal and what NC State thought they had going into the year, but they do have to balance a talent that I'm assuming they believe in with MJ Morris.
Right, and it's interesting because does that look like packages for him? And packages, I full disclosure, I hate packages.
Yeah.
I hate them.
I was gonna say I immediately was like, oh no.
Oh no, jeez. No, we don't need that.
There's a humongous difference between giving a kid a series and packages. Packages take away from you only get limited practice time in college. So packages take away from your practice time.
Yeah.
Packages take away, they change what your team is doing. Mm-hmm. Makes it difficult for offensive linemen, makes it difficult for the running backs, makes it difficult for pass protection. So I don't like packages. What I want to, if you're going to incorporate him into this offense, then have him do the third drive, have him play the second quarter, have him do that, have him be that part of the team. And you recognize that as the game goes, this is what we're doing. And if we have to bail on it, we bail on it. As far as Brennan Armstrong goes, I really if this was a conversation that we're having a year ago at this time,
yes,
we're all like, dude, this guy is a baller.
Yeah.
And then last year happens. And so now it's like, can he get back to 2 years ago? Can he get back to that? And I think that's the question. And how much is he going to run? Who is he going to throw to?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a big one.
And what does their run game look like? And I think that's a huge part of it because
by committee.
That's going to
be a part.
That's another thing I hate is by committee.
Yeah. Well, that's what NC State is. They haven't had a guy emerge in a while, and I don't think this year's going to be any different.
And it's one of those things where I speak from a defensive standpoint, right?
Of course.
If there are guys that I know I have to worry about, like this is the way defense works. I don't know if people think about it this way, but every play, if you play a team and every play you got to go, that's where number 5 is. That's where number 13 is. But if they keep going in and out because there's no consistency and the offense isn't leaning on anybody, then I just get to play regular defense. And I don't overcompensate. I'm not worried about anything. Like there's nobody that's scaring me right now. This is fine. Okay, great. We're playing our base package. We're doing this. And guess what? Everybody knows their assignment because we already got this installed in spring. I know I got B gap. I know I got A gap. I know I got C. I know I'm out here outside. I know I got outside contain. I know I got all this stuff. But when you got a guy that's a dude that you can hand the ball off to, you're like, hey man, I'm gonna cheat it a little bit. I'm gonna change my alignment to make sure that I can help because I know he can't do it by himself. And that's where the space comes along when it comes to running the football. And that's where the space comes along when it comes to that quarterback run, when he takes it out and goes. And that's the part that I'm looking at. You think about UNC, and we can go back to UNC. We can go back to when they had, Javonte Williams and Michael Carter.
Yeah.
Teams are cheating that.
Yes.
Especially when they were both in the game. You're cheating that. You cheat that. And then all of a sudden, Sam Howell pulls it and wow, he has 15 free yards.
Right.
How? Why? He's not fast. He just has them. And so I think that's going to be the interesting thing with Armstrong because when he was at Virginia, they established the run game very well. Mm-hmm. And they did it consistently. And then when he pulled, boom, let's go. So they've got to find a way to establish a run game. And if it's by committee, that doesn't make guys cheat. And I think I've been on a really long football journey, like over the last decade plus, and finding the things that you hate, finding the things that you like, finding the things that work. And a big part of it is you got to have somebody that you're scared of. You have to have someone that you're scared of.
Yeah, State doesn't have that.
But that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
If you don't have someone that you're scared of, it's a problem.
So this gets us to Duke.
Yeah,
I'm concerned. I have concerns.
Well, they've got Riley Leonard was a surprise last year.
Mm-hmm.
In the game against North Carolina, I felt like Riley Leonard actually outplayed Drake May. And there were some unfortunate sequences for Duke that they end up coming out on the losing end of that. And Brownlow and I were actually talking about this. What's your working theory on Duke this upcoming season under Mike Elko?
I think that they could be better all around than they were last year and have a worse record, like maybe by a couple games even because of their schedule.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Their schedule is not forgiving at all.
No.
It's brutal.
No.
Their schedule is not forgiving. And so I agree with you, Brownlow. Like, they could be better as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's, again, going back to me over my career. I'm finding things that I hate. And one of the things that I hate is when a team does make these incremental improvements.
Yeah.
But people don't recognize it because people only care about wins and losses.
Yeah, that sucks. I hate that as well. It's like it shows
the
you that you're not
schedule is so
watching.
important. It's such important context that a lot of times people just ignore. And even like when the games fall and where they're, all of that stuff matters so much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like my guy, Stephen Hartzell, who I work with for Learfield, he is a schedule fanatic. Like, that's what he swears up and down by schedule. He doesn't care. Like, he's not looking at. He doesn't go deep dive too deep. He doesn't do that. He's like, I'm looking at the schedule. I know he knows who the guys are. He knows his stuff. But he's like, I'm looking at the schedule. And the schedule is the part that matters the most to him because he's like, I don't care how good Duke is. And we can run through it right now. They opened the season with Clemson. That's a nightmare to open this season with Clemson.
Is it though?
It's not. No. Yes. Yes.
To start the year when you don't know what you have all over the place with that team. Absolutely.
Well, I always feel like the beginning of the season is the place where the first game of the season is where you surprise people. And I'm not, and I guess we can close the conversation on this because you got us to Clemson because I think that.
Hang on.
What are we doing here?
What?
Look at these. Look at the Clemson losses that we've seen. Have they come at the start of the year or have they come in the middle of the year when people know who they are?
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Pitt, NC State, Wake. We're looking at these teams that push them or beat them. It's in the middle of the year.
But don't we kind of
have a point?
It is now with Cade Klubnik.
Okay, so are we pretending though that Duke's going to beat them?
I mean, I don't think they're going to win. I just don't think it's as a bad of a. Oh, this is not Alabama coming to Wallace Wade,
right? But this also isn't Georgia playing Clemson.
Okay,
right.
All right, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
This isn't Georgia playing Clemson, right? Like this.
If you want to sell me on Dabo is back to trying to make points, right? Like the whole hey, you had your window. We didn't win it that one year.
Right.
And while we didn't make the college football playoff last year, we did remind the ACC, hey, that window was short. And you still couldn't beat us when we couldn't figure out our quarterback situation. Bingo. So now we do. He's gotten serious.
That's what I'm thinking.
They changed the offensive coordinator.
Yep.
And all that. He went, basically, Dabo did things he said he wouldn't do the year before.
Right.
And that tells me, okay, Dabo really is serious about winning. And that would be the angle.
He's not here to play with you. Like he's out. Listen, he's out here to go out and he's ready to crack some skulls. And so it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to just finish up on Duke.
Yeah.
The Northwestern thing, that's another story for another day. They should win that football game, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. UConn is not an easy out, especially going to them. But you got Notre Dame, you got NC State, you got Florida State, you got Louisville, you got a Wake Forest team that I find to be remarkably fascinating, and I can't wait to find out more about them at the ACC kickoff. Yeah, you got UNC with Drake May, who obviously most people expect to be the second quarterback off the board. I don't know what you're going to get out of UVA, and then you got Pitt, and Pitt's always a tough out because Pitt's a team that, between Illinois, Maryland, and Pitt, those are three teams that consistently get dudes drafted. They have NFL caliber talent, not because they came in as NFL caliber talent, but because those coaching staffs build players that know what they're doing. Maryland had 2 safeties come off the board, or a safety and a corner come off the board this year. Illinois, in the last 2 seasons, they've had 5 guys out of the secondary get drafted. Pitt, wow. How many dudes come out of that back end for them because of Narduzzi? And so Pitt's not an easy out. I have no clue what Pitt's going to do offensively. I don't think anybody does. I don't think they do.
I don't think they do either. I was going to say.
But I know that they're going to line up. They're going to be in the right spot on defense, and that makes it tough because they might not win games, but they don't lose them. You got to beat them.
The only thing I know about Pitt and Pat Narduzzi is that he's probably going to be the most quotable at ACC kickoff in 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's probably going to be prickly.
Oh yeah, he's essentially a walking message board poster.
But he's a message board for his own offense. Like he doesn't even like them.
No, he clearly hates them. Just like
Michael Felder in the bleachers on Twitter, Stadium, Field 12 podcast as well. He always makes you a smarter college football fan, which I know is the goal, Felder.
You know it, man. All right. You guys take it easy.
All right, take it easy. Mike Felder here on Ovies and Giglio. So you're not going to kickoff, are you?
I don't have an outlet to go with, so no.
I mean, we're here.
Okay.
Do I need to take some money out of the YouTube revenue? You know how much money we've made on YouTube?
Are you supposed to just like say, is it like cool to just say that on the air?
I mean, it's not, I don't know if it's cool or not. I mean, one of the things that we're at least trying to do with the podcast is be as upfront about how the business of all this is working. But because to get Google AdSense to actually work, I have to fill out all these things. It's crazy. So I just got like the pin in the mail and I have to like do tax information. But, again, for those who are kind of wondering what matters more, the podcast matters more. Okay.
Right.
You know, I know what our demographic is. I know the age range. I know what they typically tend to listen to, when they listen to, etc. So the podcast is the thing, and the podcast numbers have been really, really good in the middle of the summer. Okay. We surpassed 100,000 downloads a lot faster than I thought we would.
Yeah.
So awesome. YouTube is the experiment. I don't know what I'm doing on YouTube. All right. All I know is I needed to get to 1,000 subscribers to turn on monetization and go from there. Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes a video will get a bunch of views. Sometimes it doesn't.
How hard could it be? There's like 8-year-olds out there with like 1 million subscribers.
So what I've learned about YouTube is that you have to make like a YouTube face for the thumbnails.
Okay.
So if I make a YouTube face where I'm like,
yes, I was going to say, you got to make some zany face.
I got to make a Mr. Beast face where I just go like, we're like, whoa. Right.
It's wild.
And then I have to use like super bright font color.
Yeah, like a bold, reds, like maybe
bold,
a slanted, bold, big, all caps font. Yes.
And what I also learned about Mr. Beast is that you have to put numbers in your titles. People love numbers.
Okay.
So if you look at Mr. Beast thumbnails, you see the face, and then you also see like the one that I saw, yachts, $1 to $10 billion. Something. Give away $100,000. There's always money. There's always a number.
Right.
Because I guess people like the number. Like they want to see what you get for that number. So YouTube is like a big, like, I don't know. I'm just experimenting. And it's its own full-time job if you really wanted to be serious about it. I kind of view it as customer service if people want to watch the recording of the show. But we've made. Are you ready for this, Lauren?
What's that? Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Since we've turned on monetization, you know how much we've made on YouTube?
How much?
$143.
Look at you. Love it.
Now, talking about this, I know I'm going to get emails from like, we can boost your profiles and stuff. I actually got a scam email the other day. It was like, we see that you have lots of followers, but your engagement is down. Sir, if you would you?
Wow.
It hit me with like a sir.
Sir.
Yes.
Aggressive.
I'm actually, did I keep the email? Hold on a second.
I was like, actually, that's passive aggressive, but still, I take it. I hear the aggression in that.
Oh, here it is. I don't know how to share my email, nor do I want to share my email.
Yeah, don't.
So I'll just read the email. It's from some name to the OG goes digital at gmail.com. Hi, sir. Hope you are well, and thanks. For kind information, I visit your YouTube channel
I'm sorry, what?
I'm
what
reading this verbatim.
Where's the punctuation?
There is no punctuation.
Thanks for what?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
I visit your YouTube channel. Your content is just wow. But the main reason the video goes viral is video SEO and video promotion. Your channel name is OVIES GIGLIO. It has 3,580 subscribers and some views. Your SEO score is absolutely very low. Your videos are not on page. Absolutely very. And I get that. On page SEO. Your videos need to be on page SEO and promote a targeted audience. Anyway.
If it for me, like when an email reads like Google Translate did it, I'm out.
Or ChatGPT.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it could be that
or like
too.
A terrible AI program.
So hopefully that answers some. Hopefully that answers some questions. You know, because people will ask about the YouTube stuff, and the YouTube again is one big experiment on my part. The podcast, hey, got the podcast. We're good. We're good on the podcast, and you know, shout out to all of our sponsors. We got more sponsors coming on board as well, and the ratings and everything else. YouTube is just kind of like its own thing. People are platform agnostic. They hang out on YouTube. It's the wildest thing.
We're moving on.
Speaking of our sponsors, shout out to Breeze Through. I went to Walnut Creek yesterday. There's a Breeze Through on the way. The summer concert series. You want to get some stuff to tailgate, or maybe you want to make sure you got something to hydrate with on your way back, or snacks, or whatever it is. Breeze Through has you covered. Actually, Adam over at Breeze Through texted me this morning because they got a really cool thing going on right now for the British Open. Or I'm sorry, the Open Championship. Although I feel like we declared independence in 1776 so that we didn't have to call it the Open Championship. We can call it the British Open.
You know what? The British are the only other country except for us that are as likely to like use the Open and assume that people understand it means British. Yeah. So we do it. Like we shouldn't be mad at it.
Okay.
It's fine.
Fair enough. So Breeze Through, if you're going to be up early watching golf, well, get some coffee. And Breeze Through's got some really good coffee. Giglio's got the lifetime refill mug right next to you, which he left here because he can't. There's no Breeze Throughs in jerseys, so he's not going to take it with him. But you can get yourself a lifetime refill mug. You can get anything in there, but coffee's definitely the go-to. So it's available at all Breeze Through locations, and you can create more time for coffee and golf by taking your lifetime refill tumbler. Simply fill up and get on your way to watching early morning Rory McIlroy from the comfort of your couch. That was from Adam. I think he's a Rory fan. I think he's a Rory fan.
Rory's fine.
Which is fine. And shout out to Butcher's Market. Shout out to the listeners who have been posting their wins, like dudes post their wins. A lot of people have been posting what they've been getting from the Butcher's Market and how they've been grilling it up. The sandwiches, our friend Aaron Beard went to the Butcher's Market the other day to get a sandwich. He's like, yeah, okay, you guys weren't kidding about the sandwiches. This is like legitimate.
Oh, man.
See, this was you yesterday, Lauren.
I know. And now my wheels are turning even more. I'm just like, ooh.
So head on out to the Butcher's Market and get you a sandwich, get some stuff to grill this weekend. They got great sides too. I know my kids are big fans of the mac and cheese. Got bacon on top of it.
Oh.
Yeah, they got the bacon on top of that mac and cheese.
Okay.
It's very, very legit. And shout out to Oak City Sports Cards, downtown Raleigh. Buy, sell, grade, and trade. Grading is the most important thing. You might be sitting on some baseball cards, football cards. Heck, I asked Weston over at Oak City, like, hey, do you remember those Upper Deck Looney Tunes baseball cards? He goes, yeah, they're not worth anything. I'm like, damn it.
Why would they be worth something?
I don't know. They were like cool.
Because they were like collector's items.
They were at the time, they were collector's items.
Yeah. Well, so were a lot of things.
But Weston can tell you what is and what is not valuable. So you understand that education is key. Getting graded is key. So check out Oak City Sports Cards in downtown Raleigh.
What's up next? What's up next?
So, Lauren, did you know we had an intern?
I did not know that.
Giglio's got 2 interns, I think, last time I checked.
Why is that not like
it's not
you
surprising.
said Giglio has it? Like, yes, of course.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yes. So Intern Cal is here. What's up, man?
How's it going?
Have you recovered from the soccer game last night?
Not quite. No.
So are you one of these extremely online U.S. men's national team people?
I don't know about extremely online. That seems a little pejorative.
Yes, it is. I mean it that way because I feel like with soccer, everybody knows what U.S. soccer needs on the internet.
See, I don't post on Twitter.
I feel like rooting for U.S. soccer isn't so much about the results on the pitch. It has more to do with fixing U.S. soccer. Everybody's got a plan.
Well, I mean, I think that's just the global phenomenon.
Okay.
But, I think in general, I'm pretty happy with where the national team is at now. So I would not call myself a extremely online person.
Maybe I just need to mute gold during soccer matches, Lauren. Maybe that's what it is.
No comment. Oh man,
Adam, if you're listening, you know we love you. Just stop tweeting about soccer. Anyway, I'm sure he'd say stop tweeting about Star Wars. I'm like, all right, that is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
Yeah.
So did they win last night or no? I'm like,
no, they lost.
Okay, they lost. So they lost in PKs.
They did, and it was the Gold Cup, which basically is it's not as big of a deal now as it has been.
All right.
Because it's only like a certain selection of teams. But anyway, it was like our C team or our B team or something like that. Only one starter.
Yeah.
For the national team, and we lost in penalties to Panama, which is disappointing. But we won the Nations League, so that was more important.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go back to that and not be sad.
Fair enough. So I gave you a homework assignment.
You did.
And that homework assignment was to look at North Carolina college football programs and try to find some correlation or who's doing well, who's not doing well in terms of recruiting ranks versus what their end of season rank for results ended up being. And again, we did it specifically with North Carolina schools. So Lauren, without having seen any of the data, and before we explain the data, based on that premise,
yes,
who's doing the most with the least, so to speak, and who's doing the least with the most? Who do you think the top is? Who do you think the bottom is? What's
the time range again?
So it's between now and the data available for everyone ends at like 2010 or 2011.
Okay. There's some lean years in there for Wake, but I would put Wake close to the top if I had to guess in terms of recruiting rankings versus success.
Yeah, stars versus success.
Right.
Yeah.
That's tough though, because they haven't, like, even if they've been scrappy, they haven't always won a ton of games and they had some lean years in there. But that would be my guess based on what we've seen, especially recently in the Clawson era.
And I want to say North Carolina is probably the worst.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Both solid guesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the methodology first before we start going from the bottom. Starting from the bottom until we get here.
Sure.
So how did you put this all together?
Yeah. So started by grabbing that data from 2010, 2011 onwards, whatever recruiting data and ranking data was available.
Mm-hmm.
So after compiling all that together by the year, basically it was just a simple averaging to try to assess for some of those lean years, right, and get a good metric that gets in the middle there and sees, okay, on average, what is the gap between what the final ranking of a team might be and the recruiting ranking. So actually some of these are negative because some teams on average have done significantly worse or marginally worse in terms of final rankings than their recruiting ranking.
All right. So I pull up the Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is giving away the game by pulling up the entire spreadsheet. Did I give away the game?
Oh, let's get Lauren a guess.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I can see it now.
So you see total gap, average gap.
App.
So so when you mean total gap, what do you mean by that?
So the total gap is just literally all of the rankings put together.
Okay.
And then just in one big number. And then the average is dividing that by the number of years of data that are available. So it's different.
So that 514 means what?
So that is the total amount of like rankings above where. So for example,
the recruiting rankings?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's the total amount.
Gotcha.
And then you divide that by the year to get an average.
Okay. And then Duke has minuses. So meaning what?
Yes. So on average, on average, they did worse overall.
Huh.
And they couldn't even in good years, when they were ranked higher at the end in their recruiting ranking, they could not make up for the amount of years that they were below.
Interesting. Yeah. And I'm guessing based on these numbers, North Carolina is the correct answer in terms of.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Coming in dead last. On average per year, Carolina finishes 23 rankings and final rankings below the recruiting class.
Oh, wow.
Which is the biggest number by far here.
So I guess that it gets to the question, what are we doing with recruiting rankings exactly? Is it just because I don't know who? So when I see things like this, this is a legitimate question because when I see things like this, I always ask myself, well, what is the issue?
Mm-hmm.
Is it that we're over evaluating players because they're going to a particular school, or is it talent misevaluation, or is it just you didn't coach these guys up? You had talent, but that's only going to take you so far, and you actually have to coach them to a point.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
Because especially if you look at Carolina, there's a lot of years in here where they're really terribly performing Larry Fedora teams before Mac Brown came in and kind of rebuilt the program. So I really think the biggest contributor here is how coaches are able to work with recruits.
Okay.
And I think that would explain some of those lower numbers for Carolina, even though they're able to get very good recruits, not see that reflect. So yeah, that would be my assessment based on data.
I mean, this is completely anecdotal and not data driven at all, but I do think sometimes you see there could be players that are highly ranked recruits, right? But they're players that also aren't going to like Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, whatever. And maybe they're not actually the best fit for your team, for whatever, like in the locker room, whatever it is. And so, there's that aspect too. Like you can get a guy that's really talented, but if he doesn't fit in with what you're trying to build and it's like a detriment, then it's not, it can work against you too.
Because all those big teams, is a great point. All those big teams grab all the 5
They
stars.
get first choice.
Yeah.
So in all of this data, actually, there was only like 2 total 5-star players that have ever gone to these schools
Which
in
is
the recruiting
bananas.
data.
Were they both North Carolina? I know one.
They were. One was NC State, actually.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't remember who off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't remember who either, but
that number I think speaks a lot about the amount of competition that's going down for like 4-star recruits among these top schools. And people will just try to get 4-star recruits where they can. Maybe it's not the best fit for the program, and that could also contribute, like you're pointing out.
All right, so I feel like of the group, if I'm reading this correctly, I feel like NC State probably is giving you what you expect out of them.
Yeah.
In terms of what they get in terms of recruiting,
for sure,
and then the results that go with it.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's a credit to Dave Doran, who's been there the longest of this time period. And the most, when you say Dave Doran, much to NC State frustration, it's consistency. They're not going to have these incredible seasons, but they're going to have decent seasons, and this is reflective.
And I think the best part of that, if you're an NC State fan, is over the years the recruiting class has improved.
Yeah.
And the number itself is -2. So on average, it's very, very close.
Yeah, very close.
And that's a good sign, right? That consistency, if your recruiting class is improving over time, because what that average means is your final ranking is going to improve over time. And so clearly State is definitely doing something right in terms of bringing recruits in that will help with that consistency and improve over time. So
we don't talk about UNC Charlotte ever. I'm sorry, just Charlotte.
Just Charlotte.
Just Charlotte. Charlotte football is just kind of there, but again, much like NC State, Charlotte football is just kind of giving you what you expect.
Exactly. 3 wins on average is 3 is the gap there for the number.
Yeah.
So consistency. I mean, they're pretty much always within 100 to 110 in rankings for both recruiting and for final rankings. So, they're not going to be a powerhouse anytime soon. But that consistency is good for a smaller program like that.
I think some people would be surprised to see Duke's number for a lot of reasons. But I don't know. Would that speak to some of David Cutcliffe's lean years down the stretch? Would that speak? Are they like recruiting at this high level no one knew about, or like did it get better under Cutcliffe and then the wins dropped off? Like what is going on?
I was trying to figure
there?
that out myself because Duke is usually between 60 and 70 in terms of the recruiting classes. So definitely, in that mid-range there. And yeah, I couldn't really figure it out for myself because they've had a lot of bad years.
Yeah.
Especially recently.
I guess like sometimes when it goes bad for them, it goes very badly.
Exactly.
Like,
There's no middle ground. They can't go 6 and 7. It's 2 and 9.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That was all you understood the assignment. I actually I learned something today. I had like a hunch, but then I was surprised to see the Duke thing surprised me. Carolina did not surprise me.
Yeah,
State
Duke
did
was
not surprise me.
surprising.
Duke legitimately surprised me with those numbers, and shout out to Wake Forest for mostly getting the job done. And App State, of course.
App State is the number there is 57.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That's
the
so
average
awesome.
More in terms of final rankings. It's unbelievable. And that's, after joining FBS, which was 2009, 2010. So very, very impressive over the years from that.
I don't have another homework assignment for you. I'm going to have to text you with a new homework assignment.
I'll have to figure it out.
I'm sure Giglio will have some sort of idea on his drive back from the tri-state area. Maybe we could do the homework assignment, but this would be all speculative of based on the amount of states that Giglio drove through and how many mobile bets he made per state.
That's a good one.
I'm sure Jessica was the one driving, so he could make the bets along the way.
That's a good one.
Ooh, you could incorporate Texas into these, especially considering at Big 12 Media Days, like people are asking, Texas and Oklahoma are carrying the league in recruiting or whatever, and people are like, where have they been in the title game? Like, we've missed it. Why are weird flex, but okay, like
still holding on to Vince Young over there.
Definitely. All right, Cal, appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
We're moving on.
So Giglio corralling interns is like the least surprising thing ever, huh?
It is. Yeah, it is.
Not surprising is the way that this housing market is in the Triangle, and you need somebody who can get a handle on it, knows the ins and outs of the area, and is out there looking for you. And that is Hometown Realty. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. With Hometown Realty, like I said, we found out this week that North Carolina is one of the top states for business, if not the top state for business. We got people that are coming over from California. You got all cash buyers. How do you navigate this? Hometown Realty is going to help you out. So again, go check that out at myhtr.com. And if you got legal issues, you're starting a business. Hey, look, maybe you're selling a house. You got to make sure that the contracts are looking all good. Whitaker and Hamer comes through. Attorneys and counselors at law. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. And Whitaker and Hamer can take care of your legal needs. They also have an Outlaw Lawyer podcast, Lauren.
Whoa.
Right?
That sounds cool.
Yes, it's a pretty cool podcast. They're going to do a lot of legal things. We actually talked to Whitaker and Hamer about the ACC grant of rights not that long ago.
Oh.
Because they've actually seen the original grant of rights.
Really?
And it's like a really simple document. They joked about how he's like, yeah, I've seen, rental agreements that are 70 pages or whatever it is. The grant of rights is like 3. But
3?
Hey,
that's wild.
If you got a sound contract, that's how the ACC is in the position that it's in right now.
Yeah.
We'll get to some Hey Joe questions here in a little bit. Do you like otters, Lauren?
I do. Very cute.
Otters are adorable. Did you know that there's an otter in Santa Cruz in Monterey that is out here snatching surfboards?
I love it. Yes. And I love this because it fits in with the general summer theme of the often dangerous creatures in the ocean, or just any creature that lives in the ocean being like, get out. This is my house. Why are you in here?
My house. Here's some video footage of this water sausage. And I love it. It's an otter going after the surfboard. We stand for this queen.
Oh my gosh. She's like, mine now. Squatters' rights. That's mine.
So, the otter's going to go surf. Just taking the...
Mine now.
It's mine now.
It's mine.
That is utterly ridiculous, Lauren.
Oh boy. That's cheesy.
I cannot wait for the ESPN 30 for 30 on the surfing otter. An otter biography.
I think we'll get one on the
Get
mutinous
otter biography.
Oh my God. This is so bad. You'll get one on the whales first, to be fair.
That's true. What, the orcas that are taking over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably true.
They'll do interviews.
All right, let's get to some Hey Joe questions. It's from Jameson. Actually, this is more of a tweet that I enjoyed from Jameson, and I'm putting it up here. This is all over the Triangle. From the Onion, Carr's bumper sticker betrays a confusing hodgepodge of sports loyalties. So you got like the Portland Trailblazers, the Phillies, and the Green Bay Packers. And yes, if you are driving all over the Triangle, you are going to see a hodgepodge of team loyalties.
You really do see. I mean, and sometimes I'm like, those are conflicting.
Yeah.
Like, it's never like Carolina and Duke. I don't think I've ever seen that. But, sometimes you'll see like Carolina and a State, or like a Carolina and ECU, State and ECU don't conflict as much. But you know what I mean? It's like, well, interesting. And then like some random out-of-state pro team. You're like,
well, it's interesting. I don't have the tweet in front of me, but I had seen a tweet making the rounds the other day. And I think our old friend Ross Martin had actually retweeted it from Hogwood, that it was like they were at the beach and there was like a series of flags. And I don't have time to pull up the tweet right now, but it was a beach house with a series of flags. I guess, the families get together in the summertime.
Yeah, that's common too.
And it was like 5 different schools with no real rhyme or reason. There was a Wake Forest flag. There was an App State flag. I think there was a Clemson flag. I think that's just representing, the people that are there. And I don't know how they ordered them, like why they are ordered the way they're ordered.
Yeah.
It's not based on ranking, but
no. I don't know.
Just something to
maybe order of preference.
I feel like I'm gonna have to do a little investigating.
Maybe multiple families live there and they all insisted their teams be represented.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. Maybe that is the case. All right. This is from Joey on Twitter. What are some of the most overrated ACC institutions? I'll start the Varsity. That's in Atlanta.
I got to be careful here, don't I?
I've had the Varsity. It's fine.
It's fine. I agree.
Right. It's fine.
I got to be careful.
Why? Why do you got to be careful?
Stamey's.
Oh, what, the barbecue joint?
Yeah.
In Greensboro, I think most people understand that. Like, I saw, it's funny. I had seen a Barstool tweet go viral in North Carolina circles. It was a pardon my take. I know. I roll my eyes too. It was a pardon my take thing. And I think PFT was talking about North Carolina things. And they're like, yeah, you know, ex-player, this and that. And then they brought up Stamey's. I'm like, all right, you've lost it. You've lost the argument. Like, if you're going to reference barbecue in North Carolina,
you can't.
That ain't the one that's not the one I'm going to reference.
It's not like bad or anything. It's just like people are like, you got to go to Stamey's when you're at the I'm like,
no, you don't.
I think you need to go to Gassan's, to be honest with you.
Oh.
Gassan's is very good. Mediterranean place, not far from the Coliseum. Just saying. I'm from Greensboro. I'm not saying that it's like this like treasure trove of culinary delights. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like we got better stuff than that. That's all I'm saying.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. From Jay Gregory on Twitter. Hey, Joe, can you guys think of a 5-album stretch better than Metal, Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, Animals, and The Wall? I know Ovies isn't huge on Animals. That's not what I would say. I'm just curious as to your thoughts. You're not a big Pink Floyd person, are you?
I mean, I was gonna say I feel the same way about them as I do about Stamey's. That's not exactly true. I mean, like that, they're fine. It's just like of bands from that era. No, it's not one I listen to all that much.
I feel like that's a homework assignment from the listener in terms of 5-album stretches. I know that I'm a big fan of music critic Steve Hyden. He's in our age range. He has similar taste. He kind of has like the same kind of musical upbringing. And he did this not that long ago. Well, not that long ago. It was on Grantland. So it was actually a long time ago. And he had gone through American bands who had gone through like an all-time 5-album stretch. And
okay. That's hard to remember. That's the thing too, especially with the way music is now. Like it's not easy to remember like the chronology of it and like, all of that.
It is not easy to do. I'm thinking, when I think 5-album stretches, I'm thinking Led Zeppelin, for the most part.
All right. Beatles, Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper's, the White Album. Oh man, but Yellow Submarine. Okay.
Is Yellow Submarine in there?
Yeah.
Do you throw it out because it's a soundtrack?
Do you switch it out and go Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper's, White Album?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Then I would say that.
That's a good one. Led Zeppelin has a 5-album stretch, like I said.
What, 1, 2, 3, 4?
1, 2, 3, 4, and then after that
what was the other one?
Physical Graffiti.
Okay, yeah, I would say that belongs in that conversation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Physical Graffiti came after that.
I think you're right about that.
House is the Holy's in there.
And which is okay.
It's a 5. What, House is the Holy?
It's fine. I don't love it as much as the others.
Oh,
personally,
it's got one of my favorite Led Zeppelin tracks on there. The Ocean. I love that track.
Oh, I do. I like that song too. But.
So anyway, there's now I'm thinking American bands.
I'm a completionist though. I need to like I don't want to skip.
Metallica probably had one.
Yeah.
If I have to off the top of my head, I have to go back and think about it. But I'm pretty sure they had one. I mean,
Beyonce.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
No.
Not a 5-album.
Not a 5-album stretch.
Okay.
I like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But I don't think she has a like back to back like that. Because at some point you run into Reputation, which I know is getting retconned here as of late. As well, it's not as bad as people made it out to be, or whatever it is, which is fine.
Right.
Which is fine. All right. Last question from Hey Joe, which is brought to you by Oakwood Pizza Box. Check them out online at oakwoodpizzabox.com. Our friend Nada put this in my timeline. And apparently Hallmark has their Christmas ornaments that are out and ready to go. Christmas in July, Lauren. And this is a Star Wars carbon freezing chamber ornament. It's ridiculous and amazing. Wait for it. This is an ornament. So I'm going to play the video of this. It has Star Wars stuff, so I'm kind of worried about copyright issues. And it's showing various scenes from the very famous Empire Strikes Back scene where Han Solo and Leia and Chewie and a busted up C-3PO are there with Darth Vader. And it's got Han Solo being lowered. This is the ornament. Han Solo is being lowered into the carbonite chamber.
Oh my God.
Which will be perfectly fine in perfect hibernation.
Okay.
If he survives the process.
I'm checked out. Han
Solo disappears into the ornament. It makes a bunch of different lights. I don't know if Leia says, I love you, and Han Solo says, I know, before all this stuff happens. It's got all these little light effects. If it pops out a carbonite frozen Han Solo, I am pre-ordering this thing right now, Lauren. If that actually happens. But this better happen. Holy crap, it does.
I just can't. I can't right now.
It spits out a perfect little Han Solo carbonite frozen.
Okay. Yeah.
Lauren!
It does. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Please pay $100 or whatever that thing costs.
Hold on a second. Now I got to pull this up before we get out of here. I know your battery's dying. You have to go.
Oh, I have 1 minute remaining, so I feel like I'm like, oh, there it goes.
Oh, is it gone? Okay,
yeah,
don't worry about it.
That's fine.
Don't worry about it because it's not. I don't see it for sale. I don't think it's for sale yet. Well, either way,
so sorry.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. In fact, I'm gonna end this broadcast right now because I'm actually gonna drive to the Hallmark in the mall.
I bet they don't have it there yet.
Are you sure?
It'd probably be like a line of nerds that somebody would have tweeted about or something.
Maybe I'll be that nerd.
I'm not
Maybe
saying,
I'll be that nerd.
Like y'all, there's all different brands of nerds. I'm a nerd. I'm not judging. I got stuff I'm nerdy about. Whatever. It's just not an area where we relate.
If we're going Empire Strikes Back theme, I'm gonna need an ornament where a hand gets chopped off, or better yet, you stuff Luke into a tauntaun, and it's all snuggled up. Actually, they sell tauntaun like sleeping bags and blankets.
Of course they do, because people like you will happily buy them and pay whatever price is necessary.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I probably said too much. Let's go ahead and wrap up the show.
Wow.
We'll see y'all next week.